Fabulous Tales and Fables ASAP by Owen T. Duggan. Story 5. Good Landlord, Bad Tenants. Fourth part. The Landlord. He took it as a serious setback, but not one that must extinguish the project. All that was needed was an attitude refreshed, a restored effort. He needed a good new batch of tenants. Fortune in his favor, he found fresh candidates for the job. "Fine wine takes time," he said, opening his speech to the 8 strong men he was hiring. Among the new tenants were none of the originals. What happened to the original ones? Many perished tragically on the road while carting a supply of grape juice, and the remainder became utterly heartbroken. Such was the risk of leaving the vineyard. Only those safely within its walls survived. These weak and worried survivors quit, leaving livestock behind. Fear and superstition overwhelmed them. Now the vacancy was being filled by strong and eager men, whom the landlord had fortunately found along the long, winding road. They were ragged, obviously in need of work, and the landlord needed people. He was giving them a generous chance to make something more of themselves. They didn't have families to look after or distract them from productive work. The deal had incentives. Good performance would be rewarded with bonuses. They would only be fired if they failed to properly maintain the vineyard or stick to the timeline of assigned tasks, which should be easy enough since the hard part was already done, and done well. Therefore, despite the tragic setback and the sudden change of tenants, things were looking good, better, in fact, than ever, and the landlord was in high spirits. "Therefore," concluded the landlord at the closing of his speech, "be diligent, and use our password. It goes, 'Fine wine takes time.' Any questions?" The new tenants had no pressing questions, doing more nodding than talking, but they seemed to like the offer. Sweetening the deal with free farm animals, that got their attention, and they often looked hungrily over at the livestock pens. The cows were still giving milk, and chickens were still laying eggs, so their needs would be satisfied. Most of these new tenants positively drooled to get to work. Such was their eagerness. Also, they had a good leader. Their leader was the only one who bothered to speak much. He was assertive and wild-eyed, but probably he had to be strong because he had to live with an unfortunate disfigurement. For his arms, which he kept covered, were malformed. He also had a hunch on his back, a hunch that twitched with what must be muscle spasms, painful and involuntary. Probably he was injured while working hard at some previous job, so that now he was forced to develop firm leadership skills to replace physical lifting skills. He could, shifting his ability, lift the spirits of the strong, silent laborers who deferred to him in respect and genuine pity. And the eyes of these men, wondered the landlord, these were eyes excellent for keeping watch. Very attentive, diligent. Nothing would get past these eyes. So nothing nasty dare invade his retirement vineyard. The owner lingered in lordly survey of the estate that he possessed. The rows of trellises and winding vines, the grape press, scrubbed and ready, the nice high walls with inner steps rising to some sheltered lookouts, the water well, the livestock pens with animals lively and restless, the modest huts for workers, the master's chambers, with the safe, private upper sleeping loft, for now the worthy crew leader could sleep there. Within only a few more short years, the good landlord thought, I'll be living here. The wine will be fine, getting finer year by year. And what's this? The landlord spied something rather unusual, a movement on the roof, above the sleeping loft. What was that? He glimpsed once, then twice, then clearly saw. It was a surprisingly colorful bird. Very long, dark tail plumes, just now, hung over the edge of the roof. The bird's crown was a clump of skinny plumes ending in dark fluff balls, or feathers, or something. It was, he knew, a rare eastern peafowl. What he didn't know was how it had got here. Was it brought in by the previous tenants? The rooftop seemed its private roost. Instantly, the landlord decided, that is my mascot, and for a moment he dwelt upon the thought of the peacock as a vibrant emblem for his retirement winery. It was a fine finishing touch to it all. Leaving the peafowl in place, the lord of fine wine and rare birds gave final encouraging words. Before departing, "Don't forget why you're here, gentlemen," he said. "Your next milestone is to send me a first sample of actual wine. It need not be drinkable, but it does need to be first. Not sure when I'll get around to checking your progress in person, but as soon as I can, I'll send someone."
"We won't forget, sire,"
said the good leader.
"We won't forget why we're here."
"Very wise, son. Never forget why you're here, or who you are, or what you're all about. Very wise indeed," said the landlord, and he made his departure. The 7 wisely silent men nodded and drooled. The speech made them hungry, and the livestock, who felt positively and justifiably terrified, looked to the new tenants positively delicious.